I have come to Southampton and we are going on the Titanic Trail. There are lots of memorials and things to see throughout the city. I'm on my own today as Charlie is very busy, but we may see her at the end. The first stop is the Southampton Council offices, and I think it's quite nice in there, so let's go see what we find first. So this is really bizarre. I've just walked into the Southampton City Council building, which is quite grand, as you can see. I just came in to find the memorial for the Titanic that they have in here, but actually it turns out that it is the 800th mayor, their kind of celebration council meeting, and there's lots of people, everyone dressed in gowns and smartly dressed. But okay, let's not deter from the Titanic. Let's go find the memorial. So this memorial is for the postal workers. You've got 2 British and 3 American. And I love the quote at the end, steadfast in peril. And I think that summed up what happened on the Titanic. They held their ground and they carried on. But you've got John R. Jago Smith and James B. Williamson are the British. And then you've got William H. L. Gwynn, John S. March, and Oscar S. Woody. So that is for the postal workers. Let's get out of here and on to the next. So after a bit of effort, I have found the next memorial. Now this was originally a water fountain, and it was erected in 1915 by subs from people, family members wanting to pay their respects. And this is for the crew, and that includes stewards, sailors and firemen. And it is located in the ruins of this church. It is ruins now, it probably wasn't ruins before. But a nice little memorial for the actual crew there. I was hoping to get into St. Joseph's Church, but it is closed, typical. In St. Joseph's Church, they have the memorial for Gatty. Gatty was, well, he ran the restaurant on the Titanic. So it was a memorial for him and all the other people that worked in the restaurant. Let's get down to the seafront and get to the next location. So as I'm on the trail, we find people. And you've got a sort of a story. It's not really a story, is it?
It's a tiny story. It's just a bit of information, really. My great-grandfather was a stoker on the Titanic. His name was William Besant, and he died at the age of 42. And unfortunately, that's all the information we can find.
So you haven't found anything extra from your grandmother?
No, through research, we've done sort of like a heritage search through both sides of the family,
yeah.
And it just stops dead.
Oh, really?
At my grandmother, because she died in 77. It's just.
Do they not have records of people that worked on the ship?
Yeah, I mean that sort of information's up at the Titanic Museum.
Yeah.
But that's all the information there is. You know, his name, his age, he was married, he was living in Shirley at the time.
Mm.
But then that was one of 500 families that lost, a relative. So.
Well, there you go. There is a little link to someone that is living now that has a link to Titanic.
Cheers.
Cheers to everyone. I haven't got a pint with me.
Oh.
So I normally, on all these vlogs, I normally end with a pint of cider.
You really do?
I do, honestly. I normally...
Drink it, just lift it up.
Cheers. Is it cider?
No, it's
no.
not.
Oh, no, we can't have that. Well, thank you so much for your little bit of knowledge. Pleasure to speak to you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's continue. So this isn't Titanic related. However, we are passing Old Green Bowls Club, which I think they regard as the oldest bowls club in England or in the world. Seeing these sort of old buildings and the bowls green makes me realise actually how much history Southampton has still got in it, and it's almost a video for another time. So if you do want me to go around Southampton, me and Charlie can go around seeing some of the history, then please let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, on to the next one. So the Titanic departed from Ocean Dock. It was called White Star Dock back then, now called Dock 4. Yeah, Dock 4. The memorial is definitely just in there. However, the bloke on the gate says, no, it's not there anymore. It's at the front of this building, but I'm going to show you something. And I'm adamant this is not the memorial for the departed. If you have a look, to the glory of God and to all the imperishable memory of the old contemporables who embarked from these docks in 1914. So the guy on security says they've moved it, but I don't think so. But anyway, this is the dock where the Titanic set sail in 1912, and the memorial definitely looks like it's in there for everyone that died on board. Let's go to the next one. Well, look who's joined me. She was working in Southampton today, so I'm your lift home, right?
Yeah, saves me getting the train.
Yeah, we've still got a few more to do. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 more to go to-ish, I think. It turns out that this trail is a little bit trickier because certain memorials are in places that are locked. So we're just doing our best, really. We're going to the chambers now, and you'll find out in a second. Now we've got to Canute Chambers. Now this was the offices of the company that owned the Titanic. And this is the spot where hundreds of people, family members, came when they heard about the Titanic disaster. And they crowded outside here just to try and get the telegram to see if their family member had survived or not. But as we know, 549 people died on board in the disaster. So a lot of people would have been here, and it would have been a very sour atmosphere, I think, and yeah, a lot of misery coming on here. Now, it's the South Coast Port Services. It's sort of the same. All right, next one. Now this is Southwestern House. Now this is the place that the wealthy first-class passengers would have stayed at. Think about it, before, a few nights before, the wealthy members will be coming here. And actually, it looks a little bit run down at the moment, but just think about it when it was 1912. It looks quite grand, the building.
In its prime, it would have been really nice.
Yeah, definitely in its prime. It doesn't look like it's open anymore. Right next to the hotel is the Terminus Railway, the railway station, and you've still got the old roof up there. But if we go to the front, it's a little bit of a shame, I think. But now this station is a casino. That's a little bit disappointing, I think.
Yeah, it's not quite the same, is it?
But you can clearly see where the station, how it used to be with the doors and the entries. And not a lot has changed at all for the station, but this is where the passengers for the Titanic would have come from. They would have got off the train. The first class would have gone to the hotel. The less wealthy would have got straight off and bundled on to the Titanic. Bloody casino. Up next is the Grapes pub. It's still here. It's not changed a lot, I don't think. But this is the venue that seafarers and workers would spend the night, would drink. And the famous story, hang on, I've got to get it up because I've forgotten. The famous story is of 3 brothers, the Slade brothers. They overslept the night before and they rushed to the Titanic and were refused entry. How lucky were those 3? Those 3 brothers are probably the luckiest brothers for oversleeping and getting drunk the night before. Who would have thought over drinking was sometimes a good thing? Okay, let's keep going. This isn't on the trail, but this pub, the White Star, I wonder if anyone that drinks there or goes there actually realises why it's called the White Star, because I certainly wouldn't have had any idea at all why it was called that. Just a little thought in my head. This was a former sailor's home. So sailors would come here, they would live here, and yeah, it's quite large, and it definitely looks like it would have been used to house a lot of people. Now, it's for the Salvation Army. We finish with the most grand of memorials out of all of them, and this is for the engineers, the people that built the Titanic. It's brilliant, right? It's brilliant, and normally there's lights that light it up in the evening. I hope you enjoyed this little mini Titanic tour around Southampton. It's taken us from the top of Southampton all the way to the bottom with the docks and back up again. There was a couple of things we couldn't do, so we couldn't go into the St Joseph's Church to see the restaurant memorial. I didn't go into the Titanic Museum because of time constraints that we've got, but hopefully you enjoyed seeing different bits, that some of it was still intact and more or less the same as before, right? But I hope you enjoyed this little mini trip. If you want me to go around Southampton, because you saw, as I said, the Tudor buildings. Southampton has been modernised. There's so many restaurants now, and it's become pedestrianised, a lot of it. And they're updating it a lot. But if you want to tour around Southampton, then please do let me know in the comments. Make sure you obviously like and subscribe. And I will catch you next time.